recording this?
Yes, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's good. I said to Mary, I hope he's recording this because I don't know how you'd ever keep track of everything.
Oh no, I've got. I think
You would have 80,000 pages of notes.
I have about 6 hours so far, I think.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But again, time, whatever you'd like to speak about, fine by me. Whatever you don't want to speak about, fine as well. But could you each maybe give a couple sentences of your career, and then I guess we go chronologically, or
of our career?
Yeah, just so I have an overview.
You want to know where we worked?
Yes.
Like what areas? See, I worked in a lot of areas. Me
too. Yeah.
I started out in sales. I worked in several departments. I worked in sales promotion. Then I transferred over to the service department and worked in service promotion. So that got involved with a lot of incentive trips for service managers and service advisors. So that was fun. I didn't get to go, but I got to work on them. And then I went into marketing, and I started doing research, mainly product research. That was under Karen Eben. And then eventually, I'm trying to think, did Doug Shoemaker came to Oldsmobile before we went to the brand management system, if I remember right, because Doug and I were. Then I started working for another guy who came from the corporate side. We did a lot of product research for the exterior and the interior of the cars. And then brand management was introduced into Oldsmobile. That's where Mary and I started. That's really kind of where I met you, I think, and started working with you more. Probably, we were on different brand teams. I worked on the Aurora. I was a brand analyst. And after that, I started doing advertising and consumer research. So a lot of the time that we started going through, part of this was still under Doug, when we decided that we needed a new logo, which was very controversial. New product names, and that really came about when Doug was there. We had listened to so many consumers talk about, I'm not going to drive a GM car, I'm not going to drive a domestic car. I drive imports. And we started targeting imports because we had lost so many sales, or people that had previously owned GM cars, in particular the Cutlass Supreme, to Honda Accord and to Toyota Camry. So we started targeting people who owned those or wanted to buy those. Did a lot of research in California. And we had an Aurora out there that had the old Rocket logo on it. It had it on the engine. It had it on the outside of the car.
Yeah.
And almost to a T, everybody that saw that said, I would never buy that car.
Wow, it was
it was a sleek Aurora car. It was a beautiful car.
Aurora. Yeah.
I wouldn't drive it with that logo on it.
Wow.
Yeah. It was bad. You're just going, whoa, really? So that's when we changed our logo, it didn't have any color on it. It was all silver, chrome, and they had already picked that name out, which surprised me because that really the Aurora kind of replaced the Toronado, but it wasn't anything like it.
Yeah.
And it was totally new. So what else I could go on and on about that, but that's all right. That's kind of where it all went. So we changed the names on all the cars. We changed the logo, which I said people were not happy. The people that worked at Oldsmobile were not happy. Right, Ted? I remember you going, why did you change that logo?
The new logo you see around to your right.
Yeah, it's actually, he's got one up on the wall here.
Oh, yeah.
The swoosh.
Yeah.
7 by 14, 13 or 14 feet.
And actually that logo, if you look at it, was kind of based on the Aurora logo, which kind of had the swoosh.
Yeah.
That was an A. Well, that's what they did. They just kind of changed it.
Change it over. Interesting.
Okay. Your turn.
My turn. Okay. I started actually at Detroit Diesel. in product engineering
didn't know
development. Yeah.
See?
671. I worked on the
the
71 series engine, blowers, governors, and things.
How long?
Well, I was there for 2 summers as a summer student,
no
and then at least 2 years after that, at least.
Did you ever come across Douglas Graham?
Sure.
My brother.
I know he was, and in fact, I talked to you about your brother before. I worked for Doug Graham.
You asked me if he had a
Jan
brother.
Foltz worked for Doug Graham, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Jan Foltz worked for Doug Graham,
Could be.
I think, and I worked for Jan Foltz or something like that. Yes, I knew your brother.
Because she asked me,
Yeah.
does he have a
I
brother?
said, doesn't he have a brother?
And I go, I don't know, but
She
I
said,
know
"You don't
I know he
know."
has
And
a
I
sister
knew
that's
you had a brother.
It is a small world.
It is, yes. But I was at Detroit Diesel, product development, mostly 71 series engine. Mhm.
Very good. He was on 71, then 92, and whatever. Obviously,
Yes.
the Series 60 after that. Too.
Yeah, it is a small world, yeah. Anyways, sorry, we digressed. GM is a small world. You start to see, yeah.
As big an operation it was.
Right.
It was kind of small because, I mean, you got to know people at different places.
Right. This was before Penske.
Mm.
Yeah, before Penske bought it out. It was before that. When
Well,
it was still
because
GM.
you would work for a division, but then you'd go to corporate meetings and you'd meet your counterparts from the other divisions. So
Yeah.
then,
D-Dad was like a step sibling, though.
Well,
Yeah. Anyways, I transferred to Oldsmobile then and was in the reliability and test area and engineering and such. When Roger Smith changed General Motors from the Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Chevy to engineering
groups.
groups, I was one of the few, Denny, Vic, Ide were some of the others, they were in powertrain. I was one of the few that stayed with Oldsmobile instead of going to Lansing Automotive. And was what they called a liaison engineer, which means I worked with the marketing people and interfaced with them, marketing and sales, to translate our desires and needs into engineering at the locations that were being developed, engineering. Which I had the Cutlass Supreme in Flint. And the one that was doing the biggest and best then was the Sierra, Cutlass Sierra, at CPC or Chevy. Was Chevy, it's CPC.
Back in the days when they
Chevy
decided to
Pontiac.
name
Yeah,
everything
right.
Cutlass because it was a good name.
So that role was a role to, we interfaced with the press, did the long lead press shows for our vehicles, interfaced with the advertising from an engineering. They got into, back then, do you guys remember? This is not your father's Oldsmobile.
That's on his list.
I sat in those Leo Burnett meetings.
Oh, good.
I've got a ton of
you
questions
got the
there.
background. Because I was going to try and get a hold of Rick
I was
Ross.
one of
I didn't
those,
know-
this is not your father's Oldsmobile. And do you remember the ads from the engineers at Olds? There were also ads that says from the engineers at Oldsmobile. It was right around this kind of same time. I think it went from this was not your father's Oldsmobile, which was kind of a
Yeah.
to from the engineers at Oldsmobile.
okay.
And so I was, representing my vehicles with Leo Burnett, making sure what they said was accurate and things like that. And those were interesting discussions. This is not your father's Oldsmobile.
But that's the one tagline that has endured, that has stuck.
Stuck.
And at the time, I thought, wait a minute, we all loved our father's
Does he have these in the
Oldsmobiles
fridge?
because
I'll
they
do
were
it.
so good,
Okay.
the rocket V8 engine, and
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And now they're saying this is not your father's Oldsmobile. Well, gee, that seems like kind of a downer.
Yeah.
But over time, people have used that tagline, it's not your father's, ... and then fill in whatever they want.
Right.
That-
I have heard it, comedians have used it and others. Yeah.
Bingo, that's right.
Yeah.
And so, as bad, I guess I would view it as bad as it was. That's the one tagline
Stuck.
that has endured for
It sure
for
has, yeah.
50 years or
Yeah.
so.
But
Anyways,
maybe not
I
in a
was in
good
those
way.
discussions with Leo Burnett and the ad agency, and when they first came out, that was kind of fun.
Mary, can you enlighten me? we've had, Oldsmobile had Leo Burnett as an ad agency, seems like forever.
Yes.
And
You might know
The whole time I was there.
Yeah.
And it seemed that there was some real dud years. And if you looked at the advertisements or the logos of the time, a lot of us guys in engineering or whatever, even before I hired in, I'd look at it and say, "Oh, what? Why didn't we ever, or we Oldsmobile ever consider somebody other than Leo Burnett?"
That's
What-
out of my.
Well,
Swim lane.
I would say that's like, there are only so many large enough agencies that can handle accounts like that.
Okay, all right.
I'm trying to think, who did Chevrolet have? It's real.
Don't remember.
I can tell you if you said the name. I go, yep, they had them forever.
Okay, so it's common in a large organization like that to be kind of married to an ad agency.
I think so. Yeah.
Because
They get
can
to
you,
know them,
if you
get to know their
switch,
identity and
if you switch, can you imagine all the information and knowledge you would have to pass along to the new agency before they could even get up and running for your product?
No, I don't know.
I mean, that's
because-
like, okay,
Okay.
let's get a brand new supplier to build this engine for us.
Okay,
It's kind of like that, I would think.
I see. Okay, all right.
now that makes sense too. No.
I'm trying to talk to an engineer. I'm married to
That
one.
helps me because it does make more sense.
Uh-huh.
I guess from a consumer, I see people like, well, at the time back in the days when Volkswagen had the Beetle, some of their ads were very cute, very, they'd really, you didn't have to.
Or quirky.
They were quirky, but they were funny and they were cute. You know, Mary, would you like your house to look larger? Well, then park a small car in front of it. Here's our Volkswagen. and cute little things like that. You ever wonder what the snowplow driver drives to the snowplow? Mm-hmm. Well, a Volkswagen, of course. So cute little ads like that.
Right.
And I think, gee, why can't we do that? But anyway, I'm off
Well,
the subject.
the other thing is that Volkswagen's kind of unique to itself, where we had all kinds of cars and all kinds of
Competition,
and
yeah.
target audiences or target buyers. Yes. What are you going to read me?
Well, I pulled this up. Jan Skinner. She was like my product planner. Worked with her, and I saw her a few years ago, and she put this on Facebook. She took a picture, but she put we're working on the Cutlass Sierra, consistently ranked among the highest rated vehicles by J.D. Power and Associates, ranked the best in price class on July 30th, 1992. And the top-ranked American-made car on May 28, 1992. It was also named the Safe Car of the Year by Prevention Magazine on March 6, 1992.
Now, that's different from the Cutlass Supreme.
It is.
Different body
This
style.
year. Yeah.
This is the front drive Cutlass.
Right. And in fact,
We had a
after a
Cutlass Sierra
while, the
wagon.
Cutlass was dropped, and it was just called the Sierra
Oh, okay.
because of that association, Jenny. Anyways, I'm digressing a little bit.
No, that's
But just the data there, because I was telling Betty on the way here, the Sierra was doing well in the 90s, and she's like, you sure you're not, but it was in the 90s, 80s, 90s. But anyways, the interface between engineering, marketing, and weekly at
was
the design
almost-
studio, too.
That was
So
almost
I would
like a
hang-
brand team.
It was a
Pre-
brand team. It was
pre-brand team.
pre-named brand team. So I hung out at weekly, whatever, how many ever meetings with Oldsmobile's, GM and things like that, as they were saying, well, we like that, or looking at the designs and things of my vehicle. Because they do model year changes back then. I don't know if they still do. I kind lost touch of it. Where they change the grill, change the tail lamps, bezel, and things like that. Where or try to spiff it up with some stripes or things like that. Maybe a little interior changes.
Or they put bucket seats in
The
it.
new model year changes, and I was the interface there. The studio was always showing these really tight wheelhouse openings that it would be my job to say, yeah, you need, you need more space for your turning radius and things like that.
Okay.
So that's the type of things I did there at Oldsmobile. I participated in the marketing clinics and things. So it's at Arena.
Mm-hmm.
So you went into, then when the brand teams came about, she was on a brand team.
Mm-hmm. As the engineering representative.
Okay.
We had product planner, engineer, advertising, marketing, sales, that type of service.
I was doing
it was
more
a brand team of
research
service. And we would do, we did a very extensive, I think ours was the first team that did it. I was working on my marketing degree at the time. I was into it. The SWOT analysis.
Yep.
Remember that in-depth presentation? Yeah, so we did that on the Sierra and things. And to your point about what you were looking at, we had a lot of discussions about what it should be, because we would sit in the, I don't know if you remember, sit in the clinics, and Sierra customers, they'd say things like in Chicago, remember the ones that drove their Sierra to the train station? They really loved their Sierra, and they'd buy another one the next model year. Yeah. One of the reasons, and they'd buy it the same color, the same whatever, was reliable, and it blended in. It wasn't real showy.
Wasn't flashy. Nobody's going to steal it.
Wasn't showy. Nobody's going to steal it. It blended in, and that's what they liked.
That was a feature. That was a plus for them.
Yes, yes, and that was more than one customer. Yeah. You would hear that type of thing. Yeah. But we also talked about the GT and the bucket seats and things, and there was a lot of consternation about that kind of identity. Do you go bucket seats, steering column, shifter, bench seat and that, and it was you could get customers that want both, but the issue is that the loyal customers were really more the traditional. Yep. It is your father's Oldsmobile. Mm-hmm. Those are really the more loyal customers. Mm-hmm. And I could understand as they're looking at the competition, the imports as we called them then, they were a little sportier, a little more. And so we'd try to do both, and then it was difficult, and you still had the people that said, if you cover up the badges and things and they drive it, they might love it. Rides well, sporty, corners well, and things like that. Oh, it's an Oldsmobile? If they find out, so there was that image issue. But anyways, I digress. We worked on that. Back in the early to mid-90s, I transferred over to Lansing Automotive Division as a engineering manager in reliability and test. And then from there, I was up at Flint for a while in reliability and test, durability manager, and then fuel system release manager and the fuel systems.
Olds had corporate responsibility for fuel systems, if I remember.
They did. This is after that, though.
Oh, okay. All right. That's the problem.
This was after that, where BOC, Buick Gold's Cadillac, or Flint, had, because I had, what did I have? I had the Cadillacs, I had the Corvette fuel system in my group, a mixed match of Chevy, Flint.
Okay.
Back then, you know how it keeps kind of shifting a little bit. You're right. Pre that, Olds did have fuel system responsibility.
They had steering and fuel.
But this was after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm jumping way ahead, but did it seem to you, ladies, that things got, as we cut the pie different ways, where we were now LAD or BOC or whatever it was, it seems like we changed our name several times and changed responsibilities and who does this and that and everything. Rather than having Oldsmobile as autonomous and Buick as autonomous and Pontiac, did it degrade our efforts, or did it make us better?
A little bit of both.
Okay, all right.
I think in many ways, from an engineering standard, it made it stronger. because you had, one area going across. You weren't, although it could make it weaker because it wasn't that kind of competition. But it also, the one really huge drawback is you then had, you lost the nameplate identities a little bit, because you'd have the same vehicle, a little bit different appearance. Everything was the same, the Buick Century, the Chevy, what was the Chevy version? The
Malibu?
Yeah, the Malibu, the Century, the Pontiac Grand Am. Grand Prix. But so they were really essentially engineering-wise the same, right? Which are economies of scale. Then you can make them better, make them cheaper from a quality standpoint, right? Development and things, it can be better in many ways. But is there identity then difference?
Sure.
And so I see both. What your thoughts?
All I can think about when you're talking about this is, do you remember the ad where it was outside a country club, and about 4 couples walked out, and they went to the valet to get their cars?
Oh, yes.
And the valet drove the 4 cars up. One was a Buick, one was a Chevy, one was an Oldsmobile, one was a Pontiac. They all looked exactly alike on the outside. It was kind of a smear to Roger Smith, because
he started that.
He started this whole thing, and it's like what he did is everything on the exterior that you could see all looked alike, but under the hood everything was different. So all the cost of divesting that into all these different components that you never saw, and increased the cost or increased, what the price was. But
I would say under the hood started to all be the same. All the engineering started to be the same.
After that.
Yeah.
But that was, I think that was like the point.
One reason we had cookie cutter cars was we had no money to differentiate, because so much money was pulled out of the BOC and maybe Chevrolet also, or BOP.
Where did that money go?
Sending it off to Spring Hill to make Saturn.
Oh, that could be.
Oh,
yeah,
could be.
Jim Queen had a meeting in the Rocket Room. Rocket Room was right just east of the auditorium, and we all dutifully sat and listened to Jim talk about things for a while. I can't even remember the subject, but after the meeting, I went up and asked Jim, because we all knew him, and this was after he was into corporate.
Right.
But I asked him about Saturn, and it's been several years now, and obviously a lot of money's been funneled off to Saturn.
Right.
And I don't see that they've made a dime, and isn't the corporation concerned about that? Mm-hmm. He didn't like to hear that one iota.
Right.
As I told somebody, I don't know, I think it was Ed the other day, I said, I think Jim called me everything but a white person. I mean, he just, he rained all over me. And obviously it wasn't the corporate thing to say anything bad about Saturn.
Well, you didn't ask it in the meeting with 500 people, though.
That's true.
Well, I purposely waited to
right, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing you did lose, I think, and you'd see that especially from Oldsmobile sometimes, is the divisions, the nameplate divisions, before they got BOC, LAD, and all of that. They couldn't go rogue anymore. And
yes, you're right.
Oldsmobile would kind of tick them off downtown.
Were they kind of rogue?
They could go rogue. Yeah, engineering would go rogue. Yeah, right?
And I think they had a reputation of doing that.
Yes, they did.
Like, what are you guys doing?
Powertrain development.
What are you doing to develop on a 4-cylinder?
Right.
And then they'd have the runoffs, engineering kind of runoffs of Chevrolet 4-cylinder against these rogue.
Which the competition was healthy.
Precisely.
Yeah, the competition was healthy, but you couldn't go rogue anymore because you didn't have that backing, you didn't have the financial, you didn't have the heart behind it.
Yes.
Because it was all, the way they were organized. So that to me was a big
prior
difference.
to that whole change, when all the divisions were kind of autonomous, everything was under the general manager, like the marketing, the manufacturing, everything. And that all kind of went away, particularly the manufacturing. So,
which are some pluses.
There's pluses and minuses, but my point was going to be the general manager, when it was autonomous, probably had a lot more say over the budget and where it went.
When John Belt said, "Hey, let's go NASCAR racing," we want to develop a W43. He'd get engineering cranked up or whatever. But you're right, the general manager had an awful lot to do with what the general direction of that unit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, to finish, after being an engineering group manager in fuel systems for a while, you guys remember big push for cost savings. I was a cost savings manager for some programs. Yeah, I was one of those.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like the
Doge. Remember those? Yeah.
Doge people.
Yeah. So I did that. Then ended up in Milford Proving Grounds as a manager in chassis controls. Chassis controls development.
See, she's worked more places than I have.
Yeah. Had the hardware in the loop group and things like that. Vehicle development type work when they changed there, did that. And was a lead development engineer for the truck group when they changed to those kind of, program engineering manager structure. I was LDE for the truck group. And also did engineering manager for seat comfort and things and more customer interface type stuff like that.
Well, cool. That's neat, Mary.
I've been around a lot of different stuff.
She's been around. Mary's been around.
I skip some.
Mary gets around. Well, no wonder I lost track of you. That's an amazing career. Now, how many years were you?
39.
39. Mm-hmm. Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah. So
retired what year?
Couple years ago?
19.
Oh, right before COVID, thank God, right?
Yes.
When
they had the buyout then? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have not been retired long.
About 5 years.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely. I do miss, especially when it was seat development, we evaluated the vehicles. We had both ours in development, of course, and competition and things. So could get in the cars all the times, one that are coming up, product development, ours, all the competition. I loved getting in all the vehicles and evaluating
then you
them.
take them on drives and go.
Yeah. So I do miss that. They say you miss the people. Yeah, you do. But I miss the cars.
miss most of the people.
Sorry, but the people you can still see sometime if you really want to. The cars is a little hard.
Yeah.
But that was the fun part of that. It was a nice way to wrap it up a little bit. Yeah.
Sure. That's neat.
Yeah.
See, so she got in my Pilot today. I said, let's take my Pilot over. And she goes, oh, these seats are comfortable.
They
That's
were,
the first thing she said.
I did. I mean, it was fun when I was in chassis controls, got up to Kinchlow, drive around the snow and ice and things with that and stuff like that.
It is amazing how important a seat is to the like or dislike of a car.
No question.
I thought I would really like our Cadillac Seville. It was mid-90s or something like that. Bought that.
You didn't like
Between
it?
the seats, never could get the seats comfortable, and the headlights are awful headlights in the car. I kept putting brighter lights in, and they never worked. And then I on the other hand, I have to use our little Chevy Nova, which is a Toyota Corolla equivalent.
What year is it?
86.
There you go. That's the one outside?
Well, I have 7 of them, but those seats, and they look nothing special seats, but they just fit, and I equate it to a shoe. If the shoe fits, wear it.
Or if you have a real hard spot, like the hat motors in the seat, for lane departure or something, and they buzzing at you. But they could cause a lot of firm corners and things. To packaging them was always a challenge for us.
Oh, I'm sure.
Absolutely. If you're sitting there and you're right at your hip, you have, the the skinny guys
Whoa.
maybe didn't mind. Us women there, it's like, okay, this is
So-
unacceptable.
So I do certainly understand the importance of seat comfort.
Absolutely. It's all important, right?
It absolutely is.
Yes. Anyways, that's a summary.
Well, thank you. I've got my work set out here with overlapping questions, but
Silence, has your head spinning yet?
I guess one question I want to ask that Vic brought this up actually when I was speaking to him. Apparently there was like a document that was what makes an Oldsmobile an Oldsmobile. And I guess that came about in the 90s after there was like some discussion of, well, we kind of want to maintain our somewhat of an identity despite the fact that a lot of this is kind of being conglomerated here. Was that something you ever saw, or was that ever a discussion that you ever
Do you remember?
were part of?
I don't remember it either. Now, somewhere in the 90s, I went over to, the engineering group
Yeah.
in Lansing and moved on from there. It kind of sounds vaguely familiar, but it could be just in my head that we discussed it,
And who would have been responsible for that? Engineering, you think? Sounds more like
Not
an
necessarily.
engineer. Sounds more like an engineering
It
thing.
sounds
with-
like a cross, more of a brand character,
Okay,
and,
yeah.
and giving their input for the various reasons, I don't remember for sure. What did he say about it?
He said he didn't have a copy. He said Bill Porterfield might.
Oh, okay.
Did you check with Bill?
I haven't seen Bill. Bill was not at breakfast
Oh, that's
today.
right. That's right.
But was even as like a general question, was that ever something that, I guess 1985 was the year a lot of the guys defined to me as like, that's when it started moving from, you got the brand identities to more of the groups. Was that ever a discussion that you would hear, or like something in the back of your mind as you worked alongside now these new people?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know a particular document, but the whole concept of Oldsmobile's identity and specifically the vehicles that I represented
Yep.
came up quite often. Like I said, in the clinics, try to get a clinic for just that type of thing. What are your expectations in this vehicle? You'd have some that say, I like a nice, comfortable, sit in it, cushy seat. I like the vehicle to not be showy. It's, to them, sporty. How about this? Sporty was a luggage rack on the deck.
Yeah.
Seriously, we heard that more than once. So, so you talk about that, and then you
Yeah.
talk about others of what their expectations were. So while that type of discussion happened, I don't remember a particular document per se.
I would not be surprised that there would be one. I think there probably would have been one for every division, to be honest.
Sure.
And
Hey, Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
This is Mary Munkacsy. Mary and I used to work together.
Uh-oh.
Jackie.
It was good.
I've heard that name before.
I can't ignore that
Tying
it's
it
raining
together,
out.
do you ever remember George Jones ran the body group? Short guy, kind of white hair, always dressed neat. He was one of the Mahogany Row people. Frank Ball.
I know Frank Ball.
After the body group, he was our Oldsmobile executive engineer. He spent a lot of time up and down to the tech center.
Okay.
That was Jackie's dad.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Mahogany Row, huh?
Yeah,
Boy.
yeah.
Well, Mahogany Row, right?
I knew what he meant. Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
I do not.
See? Well, if you went in the Oldsmobile building,
Or
if
the
you went up
Chevy
in-
building, or
yeah,
the Pontiac
they were all
building.
like this. You went up on the 6th floor, there were all the executive offices. But then they had a suite of executive offices on the main floor, which were all the sales guys. And they literally had mahogany paneling and mahogany
They were the
desks.
fancy offices. Yeah.
They were pretty
Well, this
high
is
class.
In product engineering, we only had 2 floors. But
And-
on the 2nd floor, you go up the escalator.
Yep, yeah.
I was going down the escalator one day. Denny Mooney was going up the escalator. I heard he just got promoted from a 5 to a 6. And I said, Mooney, there you go. You're going up the you're going
up the ladder.
You're going to run this place one of these days. And he laughed because his dad was what, manufacturing manager or something like that.
I remember his dad.
Yeah, Bob Mooney, right?
Yeah.
And
And that was back in the days when the general manager ran everything.
Exactly, that's right. And
But they were over in Building 70.
and then Bob Mooney passed away early, I think, right? He was
I
in
think
his
that's right.
40s
Okay.
or something.
Yeah.
Back in the day of John Belts, right? And
See, I never knew Belts. I know the name, but
I don't know.
Johnny Belts was a cool guy. He was a great general manager, great chief engineer before my time, but I heard about it because both our dads worked there. And anyway, I digress.
that's all right.
Want coffee, Jack?
So now you know what Mahogany Row is.
Yes.
Literally
No, I do.
mahogany.
Depending on us, has similar stuff, I will say.
Oh, yeah, of course they do. These might be mahogany for all I know.
Still though?
Sorry?
No.
Oh, still? Yeah.
They're empty.
Let's see. I guess going off the last thing we were talking about, this is somewhat more of a marketing or advertising question. What were the unique approaches, not only I guess for Oldsmobile, but across the subsidiaries of GM? Was there like a definite approach for companies?
When you say approach, I'm not sure what you mean. It's almost like what we were talking about with what makes an Oldsmobile an Oldsmobile.
Yes.
What makes it, because Pontiac was, excitement and fast cars.
Pontiac
and-
was sporty,
right.
and
True
and
sporty,
that was their
not,
image, right?
not a luggage rack, but
Buick was more the luxury, a little bit.
but not as much as Cadillac.
But Cadillac was a little trying to find their identity too. More like Oldsmobile, I would say, because Cadillac has had an image of a Cadillac being an older person's big old floaty, your traditional
floaty
Cadillac,
boaty.
right?
And the problem with that is, if their average buyer is old and getting older, they're going to lose them. And so the effort
Right.
was, how do we make Cadillac more appealing to the younger people?
But see, that same thing was going on with Buick.
Well,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah.
And to some extent, Oldsmobile.
Some exactly. And I'm sure that's what management said is, hey, if we keep going in 20 years, we won't have any customers.
Yeah.
So how do you appeal to the younger people?
Right.
Make a
And in fact, I
W41.
think Cadillac still has an image with some millennial type
Sure.
younger people.
Now they decided to
I've
go-
heard somebody say it who's 40 not too long ago. No, Cadillac, that's an old person's car. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well, Mary, it's interesting. I mean, exactly that point, precisely that point. Jacqueline Ann and I are, well, she's way younger than I, 4 or 5 months younger, but
that can add up.
well,
At a
that's
certain
right.
age.
Well, we see Buicks, and I thought, well, that's a Buick driver. He's an old guy.
Right.
Well, I'm not old enough to own a Buick yet, and I mean, we say that.
That's
now.
what she said. You know what we used to call him? Remember Roy Pikus?
Mm-hmm.
Roy Pikus was in the sales organization. He was this young, fit guy. Oh, but anyway, he used to call him Buhogs.
Yeah.
Did you do that too?
I call them Buhogs to this day.
See?
You have to change your
The first
attitude.
time I ever,
Mary, there's more than one person at General Motors that have told me that exact thing. That's why I never went
Jim
anywhere.
Queen to be one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if your sidekick told you that I got fired from our museum.
I did hear
I
that.
told her the whole
I did
story.
hear that. That's
so
correct.
my poor attitude has endured.
Good for you. Sometimes you gotta stand
now
on your
we wear it
principle.
as a badge of honor.
Yeah. We digress. We're sorry.
Oh no, I got a friend who just bought a Buick. He's my age. So
Yep, but it's got the new logo on it, doesn't it?
it's the new stuff. Yeah, pretty.
Buick is putting
But
out
some won't
new
even
revamp.
look, is my point.
Yeah.
Some won't even look.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fiance's son is 40.
Mhm.
He likes really sporty. He wants to get away from the SUV again. He bought a Porsche SUV, I think, or something real sporty. He won't even
Cayenne?
consider. And Lee has a SR or XR5 Cadillac, but he won't even consider their old man, He won't even look. And that's what we struggled with when we were doing development and marketing, is you get a group of people that won't even look because they have that
mindset.
Image, mindset.
I won't drive that because it's got that logo on it.
Or it's a image and things. Whether
they
it's real or not.
GM.
If you take the logo off, if you get them in a vehicle,
That's why my Mazda has an Olds emblem on the front. Well, that's something I'd like to touch on, and it's maybe not at all appropriate for this discussion, but it's for the customer, when a car company, and I think Cadillac, keeps changing the names of their models. Their CTSs one year and they're something else in the next year, and the customer gets confused, and it's like, I don't even know what that is, and
Well, they're trying to be more import-like because a lot of the imports use
3.5 this or 4 liter that or something,
Right.
and it's it's a number of 100 Newton meters of torque capacity of this or that. What the heck does a customer care about that? Well, is it a 3 series or a 5 series or a 7 series?
Right,
It's a BMW. Okay,
Well, see, there's my point.
But
They don't use, a lot of these cars don't use names. They use letter number combinations. So
Yes, that's
everybody
right.
knows what a BMW 3 Series, 5 Series, and
because
7
they've
Series.
stuck with it.
Yes.
But they don't call it a Panamera this year like Porsche, and then a Macan next year, and then a or whatever. Comedians have made jokes out of car brand or car model names. If you're lost, you ought to get on Nissan Pathfinder. And they have a whole skit that goes on and on and on with these weird names. But really, all I'm saying is, when you have a car company like you've bought Cadillacs, you've had DeVille, you've had DeVilles for your whole life, and all of a sudden it's a DTS. What the heck is that? Oh, it's a DeVille what?
Touring sedan.
Touring sedan or something. Well, how did I know that? Or something. It just there needs to be some continuity in your description of what you're trying to sell. Seems like.
I agree.
Okay, preaching to the choir. Sorry.
Can I ask what was it like being in the room for the discussion of like not your father's Oldsmobile, and I guess that slogan?
I'm so glad you're here because I had nothing on that.
We're all happy.
As engineers, we kind of laughed about it. Engineers, it's a different environment than the Leo Burnett, from the attire to just everything. We kind of joked about it. We certainly understood the what they were trying to do. We get that, but this is not your father's Oldsmobile. So, I guess it was worth a try. We understood what they were trying to get to. And then we had to think about to execute that properly. Because, it really, if you peel that onion, what does that mean, your father's Oldsmobile? What's the image of that? What does that mean from... what can we provide to the ad agency to let them know our vehicles that I'm representing have these type of things that have data to support that it's not your father's Oldsmobile. Show them a sporty vehicle, show them 0 to 60 data, those kind of things to support that. So that's what our mindset is or was. As the only woman in the room, from an engineering standpoint, I quite often looked at the ads and brought up that they were either sexist or, somewhat discriminatory flavors. So I had that perspective as well, that the
Did they listen to you?
Did not have. Oh, they humored me.
Yeah. I know that.
So that was a little bit different too. But our biggest thing is, how do we support that statement? This is not your father's Oldsmobile.
So it was like viewed almost constructively, or I guess your approach was constructive. It wasn't like an immediate, like, oh, this is not it. in any way.
Well, I don't think they had a choice.
Well.
I think they'd already. This is
That's
going to
true.
be.
Well, it was more.
This is going to be the.
This is what
tagline.
we're showing.
Yeah.
Are we saying anything in error, or what kind of data can we show with it to support what we're saying?
Oh, I see.
So we're
They'd
there
already
from a
picked
more
it.
of an analytical
Yeah.
perspective to support the
yeah.
data, to support the 60, the engineering terms to help support what that means. This is not your father's Oldsmobile. I look at more as that standpoint.
Was there ever a challenge to any of the, like that ad? You said you're looking for data to support that. Was there ever a challenge where somebody had asked, prove it that this is not your father's Oldsmobile? I mean,
I don't know. I wasn't in all the discussions. We went to the, invited at some point, not in the early onset of that.
Right.
It was before it was released, but it would have been more the advertising group at
Right.
Oldsmobile
They
that got
already
all
had
to that
decided
point, and then
that.
we ought to bring the engineers in and make sure, so
Make
we
sure.
review it, make sure it's accurate, or make
Okay.
sure.
See, that
so what
would've
else
been-
can we do to support it? Really wasn't our place to say,
Okay.
Although we would provide some input.
It would be an internal discussion of let's make sure we're not doing something bad.
Right.
It isn't the government coming in
Absolutely
or somebody else
No.
saying, okay.
No.
So that would have been more of a Rick Ross when Rick was there.
Like I said, they did. You guys don't remember. They did from the engineers at Olds. They did commercials.
I don't even
like
remember that.
I
See,
think
I-
it was after this.
Probably.
Is not your father's Oldsmobile,
Probably.
I think.
Oh, I can remember when they brought that out, and we were down at the Lansing Center, and they had some of the newer cars out, and I look in a Cutlass, and it's got velour interior, and I just had to go, really?
A lot of those people liked it.
I know, but
Yeah.
it didn't seem right.
Yeah. No, it's difficult because you don't want. I mean, I read you some of that statistics on the Sierra. Back in the day when I had the Sierra, it was selling 500,000 units annually.
Oh.
Do you abandon that customer?
Mm-hmm.
And when you find out what that customer is, can you build on that to provide both? And that's what I think we tried to do for a while, is to do both. We had the GT, sporty version. You put a
I don't
put a
remember
luggage
it.
rack on the back.
I don't remember a GT, but that's
You
Yeah,
said-
we did. Yeah, a
No,
little
I
bit
just-
of appearance on the outside,
just don't
appearance, some
remember.
stripes and stuff like that. Lower, remember the lower grade moldings?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We sold, at some years, we sold 500,000
Sierras.
Sierras?
Yes.
Wow.
She was surprised too.
I was.
That was when the Cutlass Supreme was on the down.
I remember the years that Oldsmobile sold over 1 million, and of that million, about a half of those were Cutlasses. And I'm
This was
recalling those
Sierra.
were.
And when the Cutlass Supreme was kind of not very
But when they
popular
said
anymore.
Cutlass, was that Cutlass
No, this was
Supreme?
a Sierra.
I know, but I wrote down, so 76 and 77.
There was a Cutlass Sierra and a Cutlass Supreme.
Supreme.
At one time,
Well,
term
So it
Cutlass
was like-
overlap. Because at one time, I believe the Sierra was supposed to replace the Supreme, and it didn't.
Well-
it was rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive.
I recall 82 was the first year of the front drive Cutlass. I mean, the what they call the A car, because then they had to turn the A car into a G car. And you had the rear drive Cutlass G car and the front drive Cutlass.
Wasn't the Omega the first front-wheel drive? The X car?
Might have been.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
the
was-
Omega first, and then the Sierra
The
followed.
Sierra, but that was I think in 82. The Omega was in 81. 80. Yeah.
80.
Yeah, because the Celebrity, the
I had a
Chevy
Buick
version
Skylark.
was in 79,
Yeah.
and the Omega 80.
Yeah.
But back in the 70s, we were selling
A lot of Supremes. Yep.
500,000
Yeah.
rear drive Cutlasses.
The Sierra did very, very well in the 80s. Mid-80s, 87, 85, 87, 88.
Okay, that was then when the rear drive, we stopped advertising.
The Supreme wasn't doing as well. No, it was
Yeah.
on the down.
Well, that's when the Accord and the Camry took off.
Yeah.
Because I can remember we had an Accord and a Camry both in our competitive
Front-wheel
fleet.
drives took off. More. Yeah.
Primarily, that was because, I mean, that's what was available. you know.
What
And-
comes
and-
first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah. Oh man, I remember some of those.
Were there any changes or maybe impacts to like either your intent or your work environments as sales decreased?
You mean headcount? Organizational changes?
Anything at all. I'm keeping these questions as broad as I can, just so whatever you want to speak about, you can.
Well, I think there was more and more analysis being done as to why and where the sales were going, and like I said, we figured out, well, it's going to a Honda Accord and it's going to Toyota Camry, and if you don't remember this, but when those cars first came out, they were pretty mundane. They were kind of metal boxes. And so I think they kept refining their products as much as they could, and they became more popular.
So one thing you haven't mentioned, and I was gone into the other engineering groups by then, is when all the marketing was pulled into the RenCen. And in essence, the Oldsmobile, the little bit of Oldsmobile that was here in Lansing was shut down.
Well, we all went to the RenCen. The marketing part, and then the engineering part went to the tech center, right?
Right. I was gone by then.
I know.
But, yeah. Was there, does that answer his question a little bit? Was there something that, where they tried to...
I can tell before we went to the RenCen, we were already watching the sales and trying to figure out where, doing analysis of where are they going, what are these people buying, and a lot of that information you could get out of buyer behavior. Because it would ask, what did you own, or what did you own, what did you trade in, or what did you buy? If you didn't buy that car, what was your second and third choice? So we had a lot of marketing information. And it was obvious the imports, I can tell you back in the early 70s, the imports were pretty much split. The Japanese imports were on the west side of the country because they had to be shipped over, and a lot of the European imports were on the east side. But it just kind of grew down. If you think of a map of the state or map of the country, the import, they just followed the coastlines. You could just look at these markets changing. It was very bizarre.
Yeah, it was a coastal image.
Yep.
Yep. And the one thing that we haven't mentioned, but I think is noteworthy to mention, sometime in there, you talk about the image and your father's Oldsmobile and this and that. The one part we haven't mentioned that was really, really important in trying to get a perspective for the customer is quality. And there was a perspective that the Japanese, not Korean at the time, the Japanese quality was top notch.
They were.
Yeah, and they had J.D. Power.
And so a lot of this, who forget about the image of is it sporty, is it luxury, is it your father's Oldsmobile, is all around quality. And that, to me, was an overriding perspective or reality, whatever you want to say.
Especially after they bought one Japanese car and all they did was change the oil and put fuel in it, and it ran.
Yeah. Well, and the Sierra had actually, I read you those numbers, the Sierra had good quality. Because it was kind of the same thing, except for some makeup on it, little lipstick and grill change from vertical to horizontal and taillights and things. But it had decent quality because just continual improvement, really working on the quality, which probably helped it because then you get the repeat buyer, that customer that just wants a good, reliable vehicle. They don't want it to stand out and look out. So that was the image and things, but didn't want to let go of that. We're still competing with these other vehicles. So, but the quality, we haven't mentioned it, I think that was a big factor as well.
Wasn't it in the mid-'80s when they were starting to have people, their cars just died on the side of the road? I can remember doing an analysis on that, and it was like, because it was when I was down at the corporate level, when I was running buyer behavior. I had to go through and do an analysis on that. And it was amazing to just look at the data. We didn't even do focus groups or anything on it, but people would go, I'm not buying another GM. This car stranded me on the side of the road, and they didn't want to do much about it. I'm not buying another GM. I'm done.
I've heard that a lot.
Yep.
I stood in the service department of Ken Perona Olds in Fort Pierce, Florida, and I said, stand beside Ken. I said, hey Ken, it was Olds Mazda. Where do you service your Mazdas? As I'm looking out, about 20 or 25 service bays, and a couple of them were vacant, but there was about nearly 20 Oldsmobiles out there. Different models, different ages, whatever. And he said, we service the Mazdas right here.
One bay, probably.
Where are they?
There aren't
He
any.
said, we sell the cars and they never come back.
I don't think that's true now.
Oldsmobiles are in here all the time.
Of course, you have to add on to that the percentage of sales.
The volume.
The volume.
In his case, volume.
And the demographics of that region.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You have to look
because
at it.
it might look different on the East Coast.
Yeah, Yeah.
Still probably true.
Well,
but you got to temper that with some of that other data.
absolutely. It's that is anecdotal. There's no doubt. And is, but when
You'd have to look at Mazda's what percent of their sales versus Oldsmobile.
Yeah, and if there's
Mazda's what percent of their service issues versus
And the regional
Oldsmobile.
demographics. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. And
But I get your point.
I handled about 30 Olds dealers and in Florida, and about the same in Georgia, and that was in the early 70s and early to mid 70s, and GM had quality problems, and the Japanese cars at the time. Not all my dealers were dual, but many were, and it was pretty obvious. We were fighting an uphill battle there for a while.
Absolutely.
Was there any change in, I guess, the ease of communication when it came to modifying or updating or changing anything about cars or even marketing them, given the restructure in the late 80s or with the brand team? And I'll preface this with when I spoke to Bob this morning, he was talking about how difficult it became because prior to that, when it was just like an Oldsmobile own group, he was like, yeah, like I just go walk and talk to some guy for 30 minutes and figure it out right there. I didn't have to send a paper over or explain myself and schedule a meeting.
Go to a meeting at the corporation and convince Chevrolet and convince somebody else. Yeah.
Well, and it kind of relates to what I said is about the divisions, the nameplates, nameplates could go rogue. That's kind of, it kind of relates to that. But from my standpoint, being that liaison between the marketing and the engineering facility, I had to write, I forget what it was called, a particular request, though, for changes, And I also would provide my vehicle trim levels and all the content and everything to engineering, because they'd have to then release it in specifications and things like that. Now, from a marketing standpoint, offering everything to everybody, they love that.
Sure.
Right? Making changes, they love that. From an engineering standpoint, they're trying to do economies of scale, minimize all the different options and make manufacturing simpler and things. Their goal is a lot different than the marketing.
Right.
And I was that in between. So yes, it was a challenge, because you'd have to justify yourself and justify being, talk to engineering about, yeah, we really need this, and no, I can't reduce that option, and they'd want us to, bulk them together.
Package them.
Yeah, package them together for, it's just easier from an engineering release standpoint, workload, specifications, build, all those things, which makes sense. But it wasn't all the same group working towards the same thing. They were two different. And so I was that voice and that request in between.
Tearing your hair out.
Yeah. So that was the, I mean, you could work well together for the most part. But yeah, sometimes they'd say no, and I'd go back to marketing, and they'd say that's unacceptable, and I'd interface back and forth.
Okay, I'll tell them that.
Try to put on my charm, which didn't usually work.
Ted, do you remember when the first car that we had with a cup holder in it, and we showed that to Dad? It was so handy.
He wasn't running the body group at that time. I think he was the executive engineer.
Okay. And we said, golly, this is really handy to have a cup holder. So, and Dad says,
He's an engineer. He goes, what the hell do you need a cup holder in a car for?
he says, well, you shouldn't be drinking in a car anyway.
Right, yeah,
He
that's
was a
right.
great German engineer. The Germans were some of the last people to put cup holders in cars.
Too bad, Dad. We really like it.
And then all we heard in California was, I want a cup holder big enough for 2 big gulps.
Big gulps.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know those huge things you get at 7-Eleven?
Yeah, we would do the what are your wants and needs so that we would try to document it, and I'd try to execute, for the model year and things like that. And like I said, it was a challenge. I don't know, is that what you were getting at your question?
Yeah, I guess kind of just, it's based on what Bob said. So it wasn't really like a question I had until this morning.
Okay,
He could walk across
so he's
the hall
probably
and
thinking more
get
of
it done.
the road, but if he wanted
almost,
something, you'd have to go to, if it was powertrain or something, was it a powertrain application?
I think he was doing something with vacuums or turning off AC. He wanted to turn off AC over 4,000 RPM to prevent extra strain on the belt.
Okay.
And so he wanted to go
that
talk to an
makes
AC
sense.
guy.
I know I could have probably argued that. But let's say I'm taking in my Sierra, the marketing or somebody else says we really need to do this, do that. Mm-hmm. And I take it to the engineering community. I write the request and all that, and they see it. And my counterpart at Pontiac says, no, I can't do that because I have this. Mm-hmm. Now, the engineering community doesn't want those things to be different. Mm-hmm. It's, Mary, we'll change that for you. Pontiac, Chevy, you guys have to agree to that too. Buick, you have to agree to that too.
And especially if they don't go to it then maybe drives specific part numbers or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Parts, execution.
Service.
Testing, validation. It's like domino effect, right?
Absolutely.
Build.
Yeah,
and it's you can screw up and make an error in the build because one way you do this and that. So they would want it the same, understandably so.
Sure.
But if I'm representing Oldsmobile and we want this, and the Buick, Chevy, Pontiac counterpart, my counterpart doesn't, then we're talking, and engineering says we can do either, but you guys all have to agree, or something like that. That you'd see that too, absolutely.
So I know this streamlining almost was beneficial for, like you mentioned, economies of scale. Were there any benefits in development?
Certainly, validation. If you got one and you're validating them all, I think it was a road to improving our quality at that time. Sure. When you talk about the quality, and I think it does help improve the quality. When you're at one point, somebody's validating for all those vehicles, or if they find an issue with all of them. Now, if you got a recall, then you're talking huge, so, it's like, oh, crap. But, so it's twofold, but I could see how that it would be, helpful from that standpoint. Absolutely. Development, just the whole development, release, all the things that support that one little change or the validation of it from, if it's electrical, your EMC validation, you've got durability. It's just so many things you don't even think of. Mm-hmm. If it affects the vehicle dynamics, a tire change. If they want this one special tire, that's huge. That's a big change. You have to make sure you're calibrating the chassis controls to it, the stability control, the ABS, and they're calibrated to that tire. And then if you want this other vehicle, they don't want that tire. They want a, different aspect ratio and all that. It's just it snowballs, and then you've got more in stock, and you've got more development. You need a second person to do that development and the calibration. And I'm going on and on. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
It goes on and on and
It
on.
does. It does.
It's noise
It's a
and
complicated
breathability,
business.
And
Yes.
it could be smell coming out of the AC ducts or whatever it is. All of this, any complication can get massively complicated.
Right. Now, my sales guy, it's just a tire, for God's sakes, Mary. That's no big deal.
Was that Lowell?
Yes. So it's okay, and sometimes they'll be out in the field and one rep will say something like, "Oh, I got a customer who will buy 10 of these, a fleet customer, if you change it to this tire." All of a sudden, boom, let's do it, And we'd have those too, called SPO, special order type requests for fleets or something like that.
But you still had to test all that stuff,
You
didn't you?
still had to validate it, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
You had to factor that into the decision of whether you're going to do that or not.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to validate something where you're going to sell 12 of to National Car Rental or something, doesn't make any sense.
Well, a lot of we would do the business case for it and have
Sure.
to have the support. What are the expected sales? That always had to be in the request and
Sure.
things like that.
Sure.
It's starting to all come back to me.
Yeah, she's going, thank
How
God
am I
I
gonna sleep
retired.
tonight?
Well, you got to pay the big bucks, right?
See, at one time, I'm sure it's when I started, when you went in to order a car at a dealership, everything was on the table. You could order,
Mix
there
and
were no
match.
packages.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So you got all these, myriad of options and stuff you
Which
could
is
order.
a crazy way to do
Well,
it.
I know, and can you imagine how many combinations there were? So,
Which
you know,
also
that,
affected quality.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I can
not a
remember
positive
when I
way.
worked at product delivery, we had people come into this section of Oldsmobile, and they could order their car from any place in the United States, from any dealer. They could travel to Lansing and watch it being built, and they could pick it up right in Lansing. So it was kind of a cool thing. But I remember this car coming through. It was a Delta 88, and it was green, which was fine. I think it had a black vinyl top, but it had a red interior.
Oh, my God.
So there were no checks on anything, and and it goes down the line, and people are going, well, that's weird. Well, it comes to product delivery, and the guy who's the head of it goes, what the hell are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
And I have no idea what they did with it. I think the people came in, they had to reorder, and
Was it a mistake, do you think?
no, because
Well,
I don't
that-
think there were any checks on it. Like now, if you order a blue car, there's only
You can't
maybe
put a-
3 interiors,
Yeah.
and probably 2 if you're lucky now. And the imports all went to that years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they would package things, but even like that kind of thing could slip through if whoever's ordering the car doesn't know what they're doing.
And any little changes like that. I didn't mention, but I was also a manager in the mass group. In between one of those things. And even just if you offer an option, back in those days, well, now you think about fuel economy and in a different
EPA weight class?
weight class and things. You go over and all of a
And
sudden
those were pretty
your speed-
fine, every 200
They
pounds or
were
something.
very fine. So it's the snowball effect of things that you wouldn't have even thought about, that mass a little bit. So you had to consider that. And there were a lot of considerations that maybe you didn't think about. You don't want
And mass affects
Huge.
Barrier crashes and all sorts of stuff. You get into
everything,
safety.
yeah.
Which back
When I-
in the
when
early
I-
70s, they didn't worry about that much.
Yeah,
did
when
they?
I managed the mass group, I learned so much. I didn't realize how critical it was. And,
Of course, the advantage of packaging, options or features, is that a customer comes in to buy something and you offer this package or this package.
Yeah.
Well, I want a heated seat, so okay, that drives all these other things. You get that with it. If you don't want that, you don't even want maybe a sunroof or something. But so it's a way to sell a lot more content.
it is, yeah. It
Well,
does.
and then
Can do
that drives ordering the components for the content, makes that easier because It's not like, well, this guy doesn't want that, but this guy does, and that guy, he's thinking about it, and you can't plan ahead at all.
So I think when the engineering got changed organizationally like that, in some ways it helped these things, both from a quality standpoint. You didn't get, I called it rogue, but you know what I mean. You didn't get that ability to quickly, easily change things, but somebody like, was it Bob, who was in that area, maybe he didn't see all these other areas and the impact, right? The mass, the test weight class, which drove the EPA, which drove some fees, which drove, maybe he didn't see that. So there are many good things about it, but then there was the trade-off and the negative too. I think that, we talked about some of the other car manufacturers. GM offered a lot of different vehicles.
Yes.
If you think about all of the nameplates and things versus a Honda, or you know what I mean. So it's the complexity and the perspective. It's not apples to apples per se.
And that's one reason. That's one way that some of the competition, be it Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, or whatever, were able to do better on quality.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Is because their combinations were far fewer.
Absolutely.
If you want a Honda Accord, you got this 2-liter engine in it. No, there was no argument. You want an Accord? Oh yeah, your neighbor has a Accord. You buy an Accord. Oh, do you want a 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, a diesel, or this or that? You come to GM and you can. It's like your head will spin trying to figure out what you ought to buy.
And for some reason, people accepted that. And they'd come
Exactly.
But they weren't used to it for their Chevy, and they wanted it,
That's right. Exactly.
They needed to be trained to do the same.
Well,
yeah.
If you only have one option and you want a Corvette, well, you go buy it. It seemed that we oftentimes we're trying to please everybody by providing everything to everybody.
Well, when sales was stronger, drove it. A lot of times the general manager of the nameplate was out of sales, so they had that perspective. And if they have that perspective, they're driving that more.
Sure, absolutely.
When that is a different order of command. Then you can fight that back. There's a different perspective there. When it's all Bill Lane making all the decisions, and if he was making all the engineering decisions.
I love Bill Lane. He was the nicest guy. Oh, you didn't like him? You didn't? Why don't you? Tell me why you didn't like him.
I didn't like thinking we had to step over his dogs.
Bill Lane, or not Bill Lane, he didn't bring dogs in. You're thinking the guy from...
Who was the general manager? Oldsmobile. That was Bill Lane.
He was the general sales manager.
He was head of Oldsmobile.
Who? No.
Darwin Clark was the last general
I know,
manager.
but before him...
John Rock.
Rock! I'm thinking of Rock.
I know who you're thinking of.
You're right. Okay, Bill Lane was probably okay. I was thinking of Rock.
John Rock was a piece of work.
Yes.
Well, he was a wild Indian, wasn't he?
He was crazy.
Yeah. Maybe it was him, yeah.
It was Rock.
I'm trying to remember which one.
Yeah, because he would bring his dogs in, and then...
You'd step over them, and then they'd have to clean up after them. We engineers joked about which sales guy got to walk the dogs.
Oh, geez. At work?
Yeah. I remember presenting. I'd have to step over the dog.
He didn't bring them all the time.
Or you know how for a ride, you prep the cars, right?
I'm sorry?
A ride. You'd prep cars as an engineer. You'd prep cars, make sure all clean and everything all ready to go. We'd do a ride with them of our Oldsmobiles and things. Get back, all the rear seats were awful because they were full of hair because he brought his dog.
I lucked out. I never had to go on a ride with him.
Oh, yeah. When I said I did studio stuff, right? Yep. In the studio, he ended up, I would be there from discussion of my vehicle, as would the other engineers, and when they were done with our vehicle, we'd split. He had me stay for all of them to get the woman's perspective.
He just wanted to look at you.
What do you say to
I
that?
think so. Yeah.
What do you say to that?
I guess I'll stay.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to stay as long as you don't have to clean up after your dog.
Right.
Now, here's
Well,
here's another funny
Take
story.
it as a compliment.
I know.
You'd have to.
What do you think the other engineers thought, though?
Well, I understand.
Yeah, it puts you in the awkward position.
And you
right?
go, but I didn't get promoted, so what good did it do?
Exactly. I got out.
So here's a better story about him. So when I was working on all these different car lines with the research for the exteriors and the interiors and all that, this was under Doug Shoemaker. So we'd done all this research on the Aurora. Aurora's already out. And they're trying to replace the 88. And they've got all these, it looked like a rounded off 88. I mean, we'd gone through 2 or 3 or 4 batches of drawings and research, and we're presenting, and I remember Rock finally goes, oh, frick it, just make them all look like Auroras and be done with it. That's what he told that's what he told the design staff.
No kidding.
Yep, he says, this is stupid. So that's kind of what they did. They all started to look like Auroras.
Well, certainly the Intrigue did.
Yes,
I like the intrigue.
I know.
I like the Aurora.
And even like the Alero, if you think about it.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yep, so that was a good thing.
I don't know if we're helping you at all. I don't know what you're going to do with all this stuff.
Don't worry about that. What did Cadillac do so different then? I know you mentioned that Cadillac was also facing like a similar problem with the demographics of buyers. Was there anything that they did differently in approach to either increase sales or even just...
You mean that they got to stay and Olds didn't?
Yeah.
I think it's where they were in the
Hierarchy.
hierarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a gap. Oldsmobile gap could be filled with Buick and Pontiac.
Well, and
And Chevy.
Oldsmobile and Buick was a lot of interaction.
Right.
They
So-
didn't really need both of them.
So that gap could be filled. Cadillac had a different top image, or wanted to,
Yeah.
that couldn't be filled by any of those. It's not necessarily what they did as much as that, I would
As that?
say.
Okay.
You guys agree?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is just my somewhat personal opinion, is you know who made the decision about whether Oldsmobile or Buick were going to stay? Hackworth.
Oh, from Buick, okay.
He's a Buick guy.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Yeah. I was surprised that Pontiac got dropped, though,
Yes.
because I thought they had a little more of a position.
I was led to believe that was in the bankruptcy, and the
Okay.
government dictated what was going
Something had to go. Okay, that's
Well, they said, you're going to drop Hummer, you're going to drop Saturn, you're going to drop Pontiac, and there was dictates from the
Gotcha.
federal government.
fair. Okay,
Probably
And
true.
that's one thing I learned from Mr. Kerner,
okay,
because he was one of the guys that took GM through the bankruptcy.
sure, okay.
Rick Wagner,
Yep,
Ed and Rick were talking all the time.
okay, that makes sense.
So, interesting times.
Well, and then Cadillac, and I can't tell you what year this started, but they kind of revamped their whole upper echelon of people,
Well,
and they brought in a younger guy. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, okay, sure. From
As-
outside, right?
Not at first, I don't think.
Okay.
So they brought in a different group of people and basically gave them a lot freer rein on the styling. And then at one point, they moved their national headquarters to New York.
Oh, that was a.
New York
I
City.
remember that. Yeah.
I mean, New York City, downtown New York City, this is where Cadillac ought to be. I'm thinking, what are you people thinking? And then they moved out, right? Moved back?
Yeah.
Moved back?
Yeah.
But
But there was a big change in their styling after they brought in that younger guy. And I can't remember his name. I would know it if I heard it.
I guess our federal government's the same way, where if you get different management in, well, by the way, the recent change was pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
You get change, and well, Oldsmobile had was it a Bosch and Lohm guy that decided to be the general manager, or somehow he got to be
They hired him.
They hired him to be the general manager, and
I can't remember his name now.
I just
Bausch and Lomb.
he was selling contact lens cleaner or something like that, and he figured he could.
Yeah.
Well, but the board had to agree to that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he waltzed in and said, "Hey, hire me."
You are correct.
Sometimes I am.
Was it Zorilla?
Wasn't that music?
Have him say that again.
No, he's good about that.
Was it Zorilla? What?
Zorilla, that sounds familiar.
Yes.
What'd you say? I'm good about that.
You're
Saying
good. I
you
said
are
you're
correct.
good about that.
I've
said,
never
having
heard
said-
anybody ever say that about anything.
Well, you and I are
I'm
cut from a
blushing.
different cloth. I'm going to look this guy up. So
Was it John Zorilla or something? Anyway,
asked.
I've done a Google search. It wasn't just looking. I wasn't playing games. I was trying to figure out the general managers through history.
Oh, yeah.
That's the administration building, and you see the logo over the building. This logo right there.
Yep.
That logo was on the front of the building, right in between those two towers.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and that logo
I didn't spell
is,
general
that lo-
right, so now it's going,
The
what?
logo around the corner
That's it right there.
is resided on the front of the building.
Wow. Is that building still standing, or?
That building is still
John
standing.
Rock,
Is it-
the
It was full
cowboy.
of asbestos, and they
Yeah.
didn't want to tear it down, so it's still standing.
Karen Francis. Remember her?
Yeah.
See, they don't have all these people. They got Metzel, that was back in 60. These aren't even in order. Darwin Clark, McEwen, I don't even know who that is. Belts.
It says Karen Francis was general manager in 1999.
Yep, she was.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Darwin Clark, Bill Lane, Mike Losh. I'll be darned.
Yeah, I
So-
remember him. Yeah.
Larry
It
Lyons.
doesn't show everybody.
Larry Lyons.
I think
Where was he?
he was.
He was our engineering director when I was at Oldsmobile.
And
But he
then
was
he-
director of engineering, and then he went to Flint.
But he
Okay.
went.
So
He
he
was,
was at
a
Flint,
brand. He
and
was
then
a
he-
brand manager before he went to Flint.
Yeah, and then he went to Chrysler.
Okay. Seems like I used to race boats with him up on Higgins.
Could
I
be.
came across him sometime later, and he said, "Do you remember doing that?" Oh, that was so darn much fun. What? Oh, yeah. Strange. Small world.
It is a small world.
Jackie, do you know that Mary used to work for Doug at Detroit Diesel?
Did you? I'll be darned.
I work. Yeah, I
It's a
remember
small
them.
world.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd remember my name or not. Is he?
Want me to call him and find out?
You could. Tell him I said hi.
He just had his 79th birthday.
Did he? Good for him.
Still doing
Oh, that's
great.
young now.
I say he may not want you to advertise that. I don't know.
Too late.
Mary, would you like some?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks.
What haven't we covered now?
I guess the last thing I have here is the new logo, and
Okay.
somewhat of a rebrand. I guess if I'm incorrect in saying that, please correct me. But
Well,
where did that begin?
like I said, that began because we were trying to win back people that had purchased, that previously had owned Oldsmobiles, but they purchased
Other
I'm-
GMs or
Repeat buyers?
no.
imports?
Other, outside, just like
Outside
the
GM altogether.
Hondas and the
Yep.
and the Toyotas and even the upscale ones.
Mhm.
So a lot of them had been previous GM owners, and they just
Had a bad experience?
I won't even go that far. They were tired of the styling and the image
Okay.
and they liked the newer things. Like I can remember talking to Aurora people, and they were, what were the upscale cars at the time?
Audis?
Like the Audis,
Infinities?
the Infinities, yeah. And that's what they had been driving.
Lexus.
Lexus. So once we got to the point where we said, all right, we're losing all this business to the imports. Why is that? And we kind of found out why. It's the styling, it's the image.
Mm-hmm.
And it got down to, well, I don't like that logo. It's really old. It's a rocket. It's red. It's like, I don't even identify with that.
They would prefer 5 circles that came off the 1935 Olympics or something like that. Or no, actually, the circles of Audi were the different companies that made up Audi.
Okay.
But and they've had that for decades. But
I think the only other high-end import logo that has any colors in it is BMW.
the roundel.
I think most of them are just, they're the silver, they're the chrome.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's
we
right.
we got to the point where we'd done enough research, we decided that needed to change, and now what should it change to?
Was there any post-change research to show that it really made a difference?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. Because we were just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't know who designed the Aurora logo, but if you go look at the Aurora logo, the new logo is really based off that. That was another, John Rock said, people like the Aurora logo, why don't you just use that as the base? So that's what they did.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's bad. I know
No,
a
it's
lot of
not
people
bad.
were not happy.
No, it's not bad.
It's like, how dare you change our logo?
Well, traditional standpoint at this point, even people who aren't really into cars are going to know. When you say Oldsmobile, they're going to say the Rocket,
Yes.
right? So you dropped that.
Well,
You know, if you think about that, you
it's
say
kind
the
of
Rocket.
It's kind of a rocket because it does this.
Yeah.
I guess you're.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But you're fighting two battles here. The traditionalists want their Oldsmobile, want their
That's my
Oldsmobile Rocket V8, and then.
Yep.
How
then
long
with-
are they
with-
going to be
with-
around
with
before
the-
they all die off?
That's right. And then with the Aurora, oh, by the way, you have a new model car, and it does not say Oldsmobile. There is no Oldsmobile on it.
We
So
took-
do
we
you
took Oldsmobile
change
off
or
of
do
it.
you do things to make them want that Rocket?
What would
The
you
young
do?
people.
I think that's the key.
I do too.
You
give them the quality, the ride, the handling, the performance.
Young people are into
That-
flashy,
you
dashy.
stick to tradition, and
The
you
engineering
know
answer
that
over here.
Mercedes
Yeah.
TriStar, whatever it is,
Right? Am I right?
works, and that's been their emblem for 100 years. And does anybody complain about not having color or color on or whatever? A Mercedes stands for quality, for this, for that, and they know when they go and buy their Mercedes, it's going to work. Oh, by the way, you want one?
It's a
There's one
moot
right
point
there.
because they died anyway. So, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
But now,
think, I
see what
think
the upscale imports did is they started making smaller versions of their cars
that's right.
that were more affordable
Mhm.
to hopefully capture the younger buyers because it's supposed to be aspirational.
Yep. And it worked.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just
So-
asked him. I said,
Lexus.
"Don't young people want flashy, dashy? You know, I want the newest phone. I want this. I want that."
You can do that.
Toyota came in with a Lexus LS400, flagship, killer good car, and then over the succeeding years, they have made smaller models of the Lexus.
Well, they went to a GS, right?
We have a GS, yes,
No,
yes.
the yeah, because I can remember driving a GS and I went, "Wow, this is a nice car."
Works.
Anyway,
But yes, they have successfully year after year they have made some smaller cars, some smaller car models. They still have their LS.
even Lexus did that. They've got like
Yes.
an I series or something, don't they?
Yes, they do. And now, obviously, everybody's into SUVs,
Yep.
even Porsche. We're,
Oh, yeah,
we're
but
waiting
they've-
for a Corvette SUV.
They've had the high end for years.
That's a Dennis Weigel. When the heck are they going to make a four-door Corvette, a Pan Am, or a Porsche can? Why can't
You know what
Corvette?
my husband say? It can't be a sporty car if it's 4 doors.
That's a
I mean, that's-
traditional perspective.
Oh yeah. Because he's always going, "Oh, look at that stupid Charger, 4 doors and a Hemi. That's not a sporty car.
You get in it and drive
Sounds pretty
with
sporty.
1,000 horse or so.
Yeah,
You can your mind can be changed real quick when you stand on the go pedal.
Yep.
But I understand what he's saying.
Yep.
Well, I've got 2 final questions, but I'm going to save those for now. I just want to ask, is there anything that I haven't asked that you think would be valuable to share, or anything that I wouldn't know to ask?
Mary gets around.
There's
didn't
one
ask
takeaway
well.
from today's discussion.
Is that right?
I know Mary gets around.
He's writing it down.
Now you're blushing.
Yeah.
Do you need to know how to spell her last name, or do you have it?
I have it written down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's verify.
I don't know anything.
I don't know. I may have put it in an email. I don't know, but it's
I was looking for it the other day.
You sent it to me.
Munkacsy.
Oh, I missed the K. Better write it down.
Monk. Mary Monk.
Can you repeat that, please?
Munkacsy.
Wow, I had it all screwed up.
Mary.
Perfect. All right, I'll correct that, because I do have it in a text somewhere from last night. But all right, I'll go on to these last 2 questions here.
Why?
What are some of the great projects, or what are some of the things that you're proud of having been involved at in GM in your time?
I think mine would be all the product research and the research on the logos and the names. I probably learned the most out of that, and it was fun to be involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
You just get so many perspectives from people, and it's amazing how much difference a name can make. Because we'd go test these names, and we'd say, this is what the car is supposed to be. It's a small, sporty, 4-door car, blah, blah, blah. And then we'd test a name, they go, that doesn't sound sporty to me. That sounds really...
You mean you'd only describe the car,
Yes.
what it's supposed to be, and then you'd have a list of names and say what name best fits this description.
That doesn't describe an Achieva,
Okay.
They go, no.
I don't know who came up with the name Achieva, but maybe somebody in your group. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know either. It was a bad car.
Well,
The Achieva?
I thought the Alero was a lot nicer, other than it had a lot of
Oh,
brake,
that's true. I like
brake
the Alero
problems.
a lot. Yeah.
But see, that was another one. It's like, make it look like the...
Well, there's also do you use a name that's out there, a Hyundai Santa Fe, or a city name, or a Silverado, or a Tahoe, or some,
Well,
some descriptive name.
there's a list of names that are available.
Oh, there is?
Yep.
Or there's made up names.
Well, there can be a made-up name, but it has to be cleared through GM Legal.
Okay.
Probably so we didn't run into another Nova situation, which means no-go.
Spanish.
Oh yeah, no.
All right, you know Spanish, is that correct?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's a list of names that are available, and then there's a sub-list of names that divisions may be holding in possible future use. So you are limited. I suppose if you totally make up a name, that would work as long as legal clears it. And they're going to look to see if it's ever been used, if there would be any copyright infringement and all that. So it's not just open season.
It's also something that, and probably this is where your focus groups get involved, is it has to sound good, it has to sound appropriate for the car, like a Ford Fusion or a Ford Focus, or it has to roll off, it has to sound good.
Right. That becomes real subjective, though. But
I'm sure, yeah.
But if you've got 80% of the people saying don't use that name, and
Then
I don't like that name, and 80% that do like this, you're probably going to choose that one. Just it makes more sense.
And how often did you hold those sort of clinics? Was that regularly?
Well in advance of the car coming out, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm trying to think back now because most of the names were A's, except for the Intrigue.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the Intrigue name was being held by somebody, and then one of the other divisions, and they said no, we're not going to use it, and they gave us permission to use it.
Oh, all right.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because we had the Aurora, the Alero, the Intrigue. I'm losing it. Also,
Bravado.
Toro.
those were all Toro.
Before that, yeah.
The Aurora really replaced the Toro.
Well, you got the Sierra and the Supreme, but
Yep.
yeah.
But those were gone by that. The Supreme was gone.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, we during a couple decades we used Cutlass to describe everything.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a Cutlass Aurora, a Cutlass. That's what I said because they were trying to capitalize on that name for everything. And I remember, was it you or somebody on the Bravada team they had been arguing with design staff and with, this was just in passing where they said, we don't put heaters in trucks seats. It was probably,
What?
Was it Russ? Russ that was
Doug Stott?
No, I think it was Russ.
Okay, Russ Altman?
Yeah. They said, we don't put heaters in truck seats. And going, but this is different. People are buying these things. They're called an SUV now. And they argued and finally got heated seats in it.
Oh, is that right? I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a showstopper if you don't have a heated seat.
No.
Like you said,
I'm with you. Yeah.
Especially in a winter climate, right?
You're right.
Leather seats.
So I
I'm
think
spoiled,
I
and
remember
I don't
your
want it
question.
any other way.
I can repeat it if you
Yes,
like.
if you would, please.
Is there any projects or anything you were involved in that you're particularly proud of having been involved in at GM?
Well, as you know, I got around. And I learned that every little area of the whole process was important.
Mm-hmm.
So it is hard to, develop in the chassis controls. It probably save somebody from an accident. Or like, you know what I mean? You can look at all of that, saving the money, all that. So I can't, seats, comfort, so important, you realize.
Absolutely.
And things like that. Now there's my seat comfort. So all of it was really, but I would say the one item of my whole career that I'm most proud of is as a manager developing young engineers and seeing them learn more and develop more and advance and enjoy what they're doing. That was the most, I would say, rewarding.
That's great.
People person. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I say the same about my teachers at the academy. So they're all for us, and we're the product of it. So that's great. Yeah. The last question I have, a little more difficult. Probably the most difficult question. I feel like I've stumped the most people with this one. Is there any quote unquote unreported facts or any specific details, either anecdotally or any specific numbers or something that you can share that the average person wouldn't know? And I can preface this one as well. So Dennis, when I spoke to him, we talked about the smaller tires on the Achieva W41, because it was like it had smaller tires for some reason. There's no real reason why you can find online. And he was talking about, you had to do with the rules that we were taking it racing with and the final drive ratio. So this can be anything.
Yeah, racing wouldn't allow them to change the gear ratios or the final drive ratio, but didn't say anything about tires. So, fine, we'll put smaller tires on it. It will be an advantage for acceleration.
Yeah.
Both from a mass and gear ratio standpoint. So it's a shorter tire. It's going to take off faster.
Mm-hmm. So ask it again. Maybe
anything you want to share that many Oldsmobile owners or enthusiasts
secrets that
might
nobody else
not
knows
know.
like for
But
me,
you're willing to disclose.
I own an Achieva, so hearing that from Dennis was like, oh, that's like a great little fact that I wouldn't know otherwise. And obviously, y'all worked at the company and were involved there, and you know more than
I'm sorry
any
I
person.
said it was a bad car.
Y'all know more than the average person would, even if they're trying to snoop around online and find something about their cars that they love. Is there anything that you'd have in the back of your mind that you'd be willing to share?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've shared quite a bit. You know?
You
Yes.
have.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of comes to me is almost maybe too general. And the one thing that sticks out to me is because I was in all the different areas, including reliability and test, validation, durability, and those areas, electrical, where we did EMC, electromagnetic compatibility, the checks and balances and attention to detail, I don't think the normal customer sees or knows. You know, the failure mode analysis and things. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb here. Some things like Tesla, when, you know, the hands-free driving and things, and where they're not checking your eyes too, or had that special checks and balances. We did, and a lot of it was because over the years, domestic manufacturers got sued a lot, and were more sensitive to that. But I see more of the checks and balances than I think, you know, in the failure mode analysis and the backup if this fails and that, than I think some others do and that we see.
You mean the general public? They're just not aware of it.
Yeah. Or even, you know, they say, oh, Tesla's great and things, and I know maybe, I'm not saying they're like that now, but initially when they weren't. Like, you know.
Well, I think to that point, if somebody else, like Elon Musk, says, heck, we can build a car.
Yeah.
You don't have all that perspective. You don't
Not
have
at
all
all.
that
That's
100
right.
years of background.
And when you go out quickly, just all the from the crash worthiness and all of those things and that experience in years, I don't think you know, and the customers look at it, well, why can't they do that? Look at how Elon Musk is doing. Well, it's not there, and you don't see it if you don't feel it or, you know, experience it or really know and compare the differences. I don't think that's known. That's my opinion.
Well, yeah. I mean,
No, I
who
think
did
that's
he
true.
hire to start his company up? Did he hire experienced automotive people, or did he hire? I mean, most of the stuff I've seen is he's hired a lot of younger people.
And reliability and test validation, all of the uniform test specifications we have to go through, and you know, from headlights, all those things. I don't think he had a clue.
Those were all developed over years
Absolutely.
and decades of
Documented
of
and
problems.
confirmed and making sure that all of that,
Oops, we screwed up here. Let's make sure that it's documented that we have test specifications that cover that
And
issue.
I've admired in that detail that I just, from seeing some things and the development stuff, I'm like, oh, I don't know if that was there, you know, that type of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I haven't come up with anything yet. I'm going to have to pass on this one.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Thank you so much for your time and being willing to speak to me. This is great. This is a great closeout here.
Mary was concerned she wouldn't have enough to say.
I think
I says, I don't.